I think I wish that they looked at it more closely than they actually do. I do think a lot of the debate is over empirical matters. So what economic impact are immigrants likely to have? What sort of cultural impact? So these are non-philosophical questions. These are just questions about what the effects are likely to be. And I do think that the philosophical dimension doesn't get enough attention. So for example, going back to the case that I discussed earlier, I think on the whole, the economics literature tells us that immigration is good for everyone, that it's good for Americans, it's good for immigrants. But like I said, even the most optimistic estimates suggest that there will be some American workers who are made worse off. So the American workers who are in direct competition with immigrants for jobs probably will be slightly worse off. But I don't think that, morally speaking, means that we shouldn't open the borders to more immigration. So an analogy that I like to use sometimes to get this point across is between the special obligations that a state might have to its citizens and the special obligations that a parent might have to their child. So it's very plausible that the United States has special obligations to American workers, just like I have special obligations to my daughter. But those obligations aren't infinite. They don't outweigh everything. So for example, I have to drive my daughter to ballet practice once a week. And I have special obligations to my daughter that I don't to strangers. But if I'm driving my daughter to ballet practice and we stop at a stop sign and we see a stranger by the side of the road who's injured and who needs to get to the hospital, then it seems like the right thing for me to do is not take my daughter to ballet, which is bad for her, but take the stranger to the hospital because the harm to that stranger of not getting to the hospital is very high. So even though I have special obligations to my daughter, the harm I can prevent for this stranger is so great that I'm morally obligated to do it. And so by analogy, I think even if you believe that the United States government has special obligations to native-born workers, for example, if you believe that, I think the gains to the world's poor by being allowed to immigrate to the United States are so great that they outweigh whatever losses are suffered by American workers. And I do think the losses to American workers tend to be overstated. And I also think that there are better ways of addressing those concerns than restricting immigration. So I think if the worry is that some American workers will see their wages drop, the solution is not to block immigrants from coming into the American labor market. It's to address the problem directly. Maybe offer the displaced workers unemployment benefits, other kinds of social safety nets, and so forth.